What if I told you up to 60% of businesses pouring cash into artificial intelligence are setting themselves up to fail? These businesses are chasing shiny vector databases while ignoring the basics that could save them actually thousands. Today, we are diving into Retrieval Augmented Generation, or as popularly called, RAG, the very smart way. Hi everyone, my name is Shola, and today you walk away knowing what exactly RAG are and why most RAG setups crash and burn, and how to build one that enhances your business with accurate and fresh insights. Hold up, hold on. Let me paint a picture that will hook you. Imagine a super librarian or a smart librarian inside of your pockets. She scans your entire knowledge base or vault in seconds, and then she grabs the exact document you need and whispers in your ear the perfect answer. Well, that's RAG magic. RAG magic goes away from the standard vanilla artificial intelligence models we have and taps into your live data for responses that are spot on every single time. If this sounds like a game changer for you, let's move further and break it down. Demystification time. What exactly is retrieval augmented generation? At its core, RAG teams a powerhouse language model with a laser focused search engine over your private data. That means no more generic chat GPT vibes. The four pillars: one is the large language model LLM, your creative answer engine. And then two is the search engine, hunting down relevant data nuggets. And then three, we have your external knowledge. Think of it as think documents, databases, or even your CRM. And then four, we have precise context, keeping your answers factual, hallucination free. And this is the three-phase blueprint to building your own RAG. Building a RAG runs in three different seamless phases. So let's map it out so we can use this in building our own RAG model in the next video, and so you can also steal it. The very first important phase is preparing your knowledge fortress, which is where you actually load your documents and then you slice your documents into smart chunks, which is where your RAG can be made or can be mad. Uh, this makes it easier for your AI to process and ensure more relevant information. And then the final stage is embedding, where you embed and turn text into meaningful packed vectors for lightning fast matching. And then there are different techniques into this. There's the uh, hybrid search, and then there's the ranking with reciprocal rank fusion. And then after this very first phase, there's the second phase, which is the retrieval, and this is the hunt. This is where our query becomes a vector, where the system scars for matches. Well, hybrid search can be a very important kind of search. It can blend semantic vectors with old school keyword magic for unbeatable core. Then re-rank with winners like RRF, which we mentioned earlier. And this bumps very relevant searches to the top. And the funny thing is, this process happens in milliseconds. In this, before you snap your fingers, this is done. And before we go to the third phase, something I'm making up for the cooking up for the next video is building your very first rack system, or if you've built one before, this will be another video where you see me build and you can critique my build or you can steal from my build. And building a rack system, you want to take this into consideration. For a real business, you want to take into what the user query will be, what the enhanced retrieval will entail, a system that converts the question to vector, and then you want to consider ranking and context assembly. And then you also want spot on response where the LLM generates answers and referencing whatever happens or whatever has happened to. And then going to the third phase of building a RAG, which is generation. Feeding our LLM the query plus the top context, and we can watch it with actual code. And we have to also be aware of context rocks, which means when we pile in too much, key facts can get lost. Like, so much means so little can be drawn out. And then there are some prompt optimization strategies where we have selective context inclusion, we have dynamic system instructions, and we have relevance filtering and summarization. And this is another important part. Why would a RAG system actually fail? So this should be built to, you know, supplement the LLMs we currently have. So why would a supplement fail? That's an interesting question. And there's a harsh reality check where RAG systems can flop. But then, and why is that? Is that the complex first trap, which adds much more than is needed. So we see that semantic. Let's stick with the complex first trap. This says we have to be very, very, very careful because we have to know that semantic similarity is not even always equal to relevance. A document might vibe with our query but miss the mark entirely. And then there's a progressive complexity part, which also starts from the first trap that we have to understand. And then we will not leave this without saying what are the key effective strategies that are found for RAGs. We have the hybrid search. This is becoming a lot more popular. And then we have the advanced ranking. We mentioned this earlier too. And then we have a new method that I didn't mention earlier, which is dynamic chunking strategies. We'll be going deeper in the next video on all of this. And then we have the migrating context routes. And then one of the things I've noted is that the smartest RAG strategy isn't always about the technology. It's just that does it satisfy the need, and is the foundation mechanism really working? It's more like is this doing what we need it to do? Once this is answered, then we have a RAG. And there's also something that we need to talk about, which is there are hidden costs behind the RAG, building a RAG. Building a RAG isn't just a free alternative to LLMs. There's hidden costs because we can't ignore the bill in terms of being more effective. Okay, so we have the query costs, we have all these query costs, and then what goes beyond the query price tag is the hidden cost. And then we have model depreciation. Let's say we built our model around GPT-4, and then there's GPT-5 now. So if we do not have a model that, say, prepares for deprecation, this can falter our RAG model. And then we have the chunking complexity, We have the ranking experts, we have the LLM relevant scoring, and we have the evaluation frameworks, and we have the context route migrations. All this, and this one team that spent 3 months optimizing their vector database is from an article I read recently while making this video. I'll link the article below and you can check. And you can see the contrast where a team spent 3 months optimizing their database only to restart when the model was deprecated, while a competitor just using a simple BM25 just changed one line of code, highlighting the risk of over engineering. This is where over engineering can come into play in building a RAG model. And understanding this and that there's risks to it is much more important than building without understanding the risks. And then, what are the toolkits for building RAGs? What are the things that are used in building a very effective RAG? So building RAGs, there has to be tools. And then in an alternate universe, using tools without strategy will always lead to nowhere. So in this universe, we're going to be using tools with strategy. There are bottlenecks in the tools that are currently available, but we have to use the best, very best. And then there are orchestration frameworks, which are like, we have tools like LangChain, Llama Index, which simplify the pipeline creation. And we have vector databases and algorithms. We have Chroma, we have Pinecone, and then we have embedding models. I have personally used all distribute beta version 1 and the Hugging Face models and transformers, and we have chunking strategies. These are all the tools and strategies that are involved in making a pristine RAG. And then the final tool or strategy that I would put out there is hybrid search and re-ranking. All these are gotten from what I've used and what I've seen people, leading voices in RAG, building RAGs use. And let's understand truly effective RAG system. What comes into building a very effective? Why should you build a very effective RAG system? More complexity doesn't always equal better results. A very smart RAG gives you accurate and up-to-date answers. It's tailored to your business, documents, and knowledge base. This is important because your documents can be private. You don't want to put information that is private in public space. You don't want to train the current public data models to with your private data. You want your own LLM model or your own RAG, which is why we are here in the first place. And then there's the hallucination, which comes from little context or no context. This RAG solves this. Is your own AI, but it's just supercharged. And then if you're ready to transform your business with RAG, it allows your AI to not just talk, but to think smart, very smart. Granted, in your own unique data, which means you move beyond very basic implementation to embrace sophisticated techniques. And then there are some key technical pillars which I've been reiterating and I'll keep reiterating, which is hybrid search, ranking, and then dynamic chunking. Well, that will be all for this video. I put in 2 extra sections, but I won't go too far. I would say I would sell myself more in the next video after we build our own very much functional RAG system. And should you need to contact me, my contact details will be in the description. Subscribe for more videos like this, like and share, and that will be all for today. Thank you very much for staying tuned.